The Gipping Valley River Walk begins its 17-mile-long route here in the town of Stowmarket. The trailhead sits right next to the 18th century maltings, with a green information board providing details on the River Gipping and its history. The route follows the riverside towpath past numerous industrial units and under several busy road bridges. As with almost all walks through industrial workings, the riverbank is plagued with litter and rubbish, making it a slightly sad start to an otherwise lovely walk. But with every step away from the urban area, nature really begins to take control once more. The first of some 15 locks is encountered within these industrial estates, this one being Stow Upland Lock, and probably dates to the 18th century, when the waterway was used to transport cargo up to Stowmarket from Ipswich. Eventually, the green fields arrive and the tranquil call of songbirds can be heard amongst the trees, with the gentle trickle of flowing water alongside. Just beyond Badley Mill Farm is Badley Lock, with the option of getting nice and close. The path sticks to the Gipping's northern bank as it meanders its way through countless livestock fields. It's an incredibly rural scene and a stark contrast to only an hour ago back in Stowmarket. Needham Lock is the next lock encountered and situated on the edge of Needham Market. Needham Lock is one of the best preserved locks seen so far on the route and forms part of a beautiful area, surrounded in wildlife and echoing the sound of falling water. The towpath heads right along the northern edge of Needham Market, with the gardens of many properties backing right up to the water's edge. The path heads onto Needham Lakes Country Park, which marks a potential end for a first part of the trail, with the option of getting either a train or bus back to Stowmarket if completing the walk over several days. Needham Lakes should be explored if time allows, as it's home to some rare and beautiful wildlife and has numerous short trails around the lake. Bosmere Lock is then passed with Bosmere Mill alongside, dating back to the late 18th or early 19th century, and stands 4 stories high, complete with an attic. The B1078 is then crossed, and Alderson Lakes Fisheries is entered. Sadly, the lakes are private, but there are several opportunities to take in the view over the water before pressing on along the walk. The next lock encountered is Creeting Lock and Nearby Bridge, dating back to 1793, and recently undergone extensive restoration works. Just half a mile further along is a less well preserved lock at Pips Ford. A short section of road walking leads to Balaam Mill. The mill dates back to the early 19th century and given a Grade 2 star listing, and sits right alongside Balaam Lock and Bridge, which dates back to 1780. The Gipping River Path passes through a rare breeds farm and another series of fishing lakes, before passing the 8th lock along the walk, Shumford Lock. Beyond, the route sticks close to the river and arrives at Great Blakenham, with an option to take a detour to visit the village pub called the Checkers Inn. Although the path doesn't pass through the village directly, there are several opportunities to see the Grade 1 listed Church of St Mary just set back from the riverbank. The path crosses the River Gipping at Blakenham Lock and turns right along a large field, sticking to the Riverbank path as it snakes its way south through more fishing lakes. Paper Mill Lock is encountered as you pass the old paper mill, which has recently been converted into housing and overlooks the gentle waters of the Gipping. A beautiful scene lies ahead as you pass Sproughton Lock, with a large pond in front of the spectacular 18th century mill. Just on the other side of the road is the Church of All Saints, dating much further back to the early 14th century and given a Grade 2 star listing. About 500 metres beyond Sproughton, the River Gipping Path passes under the busy A14 dual carriageway, with the rumble of traffic being heard for miles around. The route begins to enter a much more industrial landscape once again, similar to how it started back in Stowmarket, with the noise of nearby works and no views beyond the river itself. The Gipping Path enters Ipswich via a series of new apartment blocks that overlook the broader river as it continues downstream to the estuary, just a few miles further along. Hanford Sea Lock is the final of the 15 locks found along the River Gipping and is located next to a busy road, and sadly not as attractive as some of the previous ones visited. There's about a mile of additional riverside walking past tall tower blocks and ever-broadening waters. It's possible to see some interesting wildlife along this stretch, including redshank and oystercatcher, feeding during low tide. The Gipping Valley River Path officially ends at Ipswich Marina, with its many cafes and restaurants. On the way to the marina there's a chance to look across to St Peter's Church, dating to the 14th century, before following the quayside round to the old Customs House, a Grade 2 star listed building dating to 1844, and the place where I'm going to finish this walk and overlook the countless yachts and boats within the sunlit marina.